Hey, security peeps. We are live with another edition of Breaking Into Cybersecurity. It is CISO Thursdays. And all of our CISOs are here today with extra guests. So this is super duper exciting. I am Renee Small, cybersecurity super recruiter, helping awesome people hire great talent. Before we get started and go around with our introductions, I want to make sure that you all subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to James's YouTube channel, subscribe, and give us thumbs up and all that other good stuff that you do when you go on YouTube. James will wrap it up on the other side of that since he is our coach while he helps us build our world here. So next up, Dr. Dan Schaefer. Dr. Danny.
My company's Peak Performance Strategies. I'm a business and sports psychologist. I work on mind game strategies with people who want to get competitive edge to move away and apart from their competition very, very quickly. And basically what I do is I help them sell mistakes.
Excelente. The wonderful, the awesome, the not so often CISO recently on our show, CISO Naomi Buckwalter.
Hey everyone, Naomi Buckwalter, 20 years in tech. I'm turning 40 this month, so still 39. Let's just hang on to that for a little bit.
So it's better on the other side, girl.
That's what I hear. My bones are not working anymore.
The James Azar.
Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to today's show. Thank you.
One of these.
I'm excited about the next guest. I don't want to speak. I just want Ryan to speak.
Ryan. So we have another CISO in the house today. Ryan Glover. Say hi to everybody, Ryan.
Hey, everyone. I think James just wants to talk to me every week. So any chance that he can, he's going to pull me into something.
He's like, Ryan's coming on. So Ryan was on James's show last week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Last week, and then he's here this week. So we got to figure out a way to make him come back some way, somehow. But Ryan is here to kick it with us. So we are kicking off today with Intern Gate.
We need dramatic music for that one.
Yeah, I got to get sound effects and stuff going on. Intern Gate. Naomi, you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, we need the sound of children crying in the background because this is the saddest thing I've ever heard. The story is the former SolarWinds CEO went on the public waves in the news and said, the reason why we were breached is because an intern set the password to a file server. I believe it was a FTP server. I'm not too sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. And the password was very weak. I think it was SolarWinds 123.
123.
But the thing was, the intern was back in 2019. So this issue had been around for a while. But the fact that the CEO went on the air and just publicly blamed an intern, I just had so many feelings about that. And I will open it up to everyone else, but I will just prep the story. That's what happens. And it was a terrible, terrible thing. So
I thought it was ridiculous too when I saw the was it Congresswoman or I think it was a Congresswoman, and she kept holding up SolarWinds 123. My password for my kids is YouTube is better than this. And when he said it, I was just like, "Are you serious? You're really gonna say that an intern set a password 3 years ago, and that's what took the whole world down?"
So you want to kind of break that into the idea of SolarWinds was a victim of a crime, right? So we're not going to dog them for it in a way. But what we are going to say is they probably made easy bait considering the fact their leadership is blaming an intern within their cloud or FTP team or whatever team this intern was on. If that intern is watching or listening, or if you know that intern, we are going to offer him free support for the rest of his life.
Or her.
Or her. Yeah, him or her. I don't mean him as in male or female. I know that's kind of a thing. But yeah, whoever that intern is, whatever they are, we will offer them free support on CyberCouch. Whatever they want. Mm-hmm. Come on by.
It's kind of shameful, though. There's no ownership at all. It's almost like Ted Cruz all over again, throwing his wife and family under the bus. Take ownership and be responsible. And it may be a due care problem too. Like if in 2-3 years you had not known that this password existed in your environment, like what are you doing? What kind of operation are you running?
Well, that's the scary part, right? Is what kind of operation are you really running to where your intern can set a password with no peer review, leave it out there, put it within, I think it was their GitHub repository, like it was, that password was put through their GitHub repository, like public facing repositories. So it's a matter of, it's a systematic failure. And I don't want to put salt in an open wound, but we're 3.5 years after Equifax, and that was by far one of the largest major like leadership challenges. Like it was a cultural issue, like it was an organizational cultural issue. They don't have it today, right? They have really good leadership today. They're taking cyber very seriously, obviously. But back then it was a leadership issue that kind of led Equifax to the idea where they couldn't patch Apache Strut or whatever because they were forwarding patch notices through email and not using a project management system, right? To just kind of like give people tasks. Like you could have created an Excel spreadsheet for that.
But going back to what you said though, like about peer review, more than the intern knew about this password, right? He had to have given it to someone else. It had to have been in some shared vault of some sort.
It was. It was on GitHub. It was on GitHub. It was like plain text on GitHub.
Your shared vault is a public repo. There are so many systematic failures. James is like, his face is just melting right now. But I mean, not just from a technical and operational failure, it is from a leadership perspective also. I mean, they failed big time. And then the fact that they're a victim, yes, I do feel bad. I don't want to pile on. But they kind of just lost my respect when the CEO just goes, "Hey, not my problem."
Well, he's the former CEO.
Right? Yeah,
the speaker.
He's the former CEO.
Somehow still representing SolarWinds. So
well, he's not representing SolarWinds. He was subpoenaed by Congress to go testify about it. He was let go a short time after. And I wonder if that was like, I wonder if he did the same thing in like the board meeting as he was letting the board know that they've been part of. So, Mr. CEO, what was the reason we got breached? Well, we had an intern who set up SolarWinds 1, 2, 3. And so what we really should do is address the intern and all that middle management. And you're like,
you don't get a whipping boy or girl. That's not, what a leader is. No.
I'm kind of wondering if there was actually an intern. Like, did this? Because it's so ridiculous sounding to me. Like,
yeah, you're right.
Renee, it sounds like somebody plugged the fan in.
Yeah,
Dan, tell your fan story.
Somebody said, "When should I call you?" And I said, "It's going to be very easy to remember you. Imagine a big fan packed with wet manure." And a guy with a plug by an outlet. You call me before he puts the plug in the wall.
That's pretty much what happened. So some comments here, folks. Dutch says Naomi has all the feelings about this topic.
I want to say, like, most of my sadness here is because some executive is now going to see the story and say, you know what, now I have a valid excuse to never hire an intern or entry-level person again. Look what can happen, right? Look, the world burned down. It's because of this intern. So I believe a lot of CEOs and executives are kind of be like, you know what? I'm glad someone actually said that, because now I can go back to my board or to my team and say, we don't really need an intern because of all these bad things and all the risks that can happen. And so to me, I was like extremely sad, because my entire message is like, give these people a chance, teach them and train them, show them what good security looks like, and take the blame if something were to happen. Give them room to make mistakes. That is what learning is about. And not only are they going to learn, you are also going to learn as their teacher. The best way to learn is to teach. It's called the protege effect. It's actually quite amazing. If you've ever been a mentor or a teacher or a tutor, you know what I'm talking about. You go out there and you teach, because now you know the ins and outs of every bit of that subject matter that you are teaching. It's the same thing. If you are teaching the intern, you will know everything about that system, everything about that protocol, etc. And I think more people should do it, but I have a feeling some security executives and team leads are going to see this and say, okay, no more interns ever.
That would be asinine. You tell them.
I think that would be very hard to happen in a coaching culture.
Naomi's like, let me tell you something.
Naomi, I actually disagree with you on this one. I feel like the intern blame coming from a fired, disgruntled CEO in front of Congress and the outcry of it is going to be the whole purpose of no one's going to say no to interns again. I think part of this is the leadership cultural challenge within an organization when they do bring in interns, where they don't look at interns as proteges, like you just said. They look at them as like a cheap workforce, like, hey, go set this up, do it now. And no one's really bothering to review the work, right? No one's really bothering to really train that person, but rather they're saying, hey, intern, come here, do this now, get it done. And just set it up and then give it to me and I'll take it from there. Rather than someone actually coaching an intern. Like, we need to remind people what interns are all about.
And if that's the case, that's really, really sad because, the whole purpose of getting interns are to grow. And the purpose of bringing in an intern team or an intern class or 1 or 2 interns is that you can hopefully hire them into full-time work. It's almost like you're trying them out to see if they're, if they have what it takes to be like your entry-level analyst or your right out of college person and, move them into a new role. So it would be really, really sad if, what Naomi said is happening. And I hope what James said actually does happen. And look at this. Prathmesh says, guys, thanks to you all. Great to you all and great tips. I got a job. It's been 1 week already. Enjoying.
Congratulations.
Work.
Congratulations, man.
We got to put you in that 19, 20. What are we at now, James?
We're at 19, I believe. We are at 19 in 2021.
19 people
still
hired.
Still good. I know 221 is a bit of a goal, but
it's
we can
aggressive.
Do it.
But you know what? We're just coming out of a lockdown period, so I imagine that the job growth for a lot of these cybersecurity roles is really going to grow over the next 3 months. I think we're going to see an increase in jobs.
I'm already seeing it. I am completely slammed with hiring. Anthony Davis. Let me shout some people out. Anthony Davis says, hello, everyone. He tells Naomi, you are still young. He is right. The fun starts at 40. Dutch says, the Matrix might explode with 3 CISOs in the same live stream. I know. I'm like trying to reach out and hug everybody. Let's see here. We made Dutch's comment already. Patrice says definitely missing the accountability from leadership. So that's when we started talking about the ex-CEO blaming the intern. Daniel says, hi all. Ben is here. Hey, Ben. Happy Friday Eve, everybody.
So we have Ryan here. So I want to ask Ryan a question. Ryan, what's your policy when you bring on interns to your team? What's some of your best practices? I think instead of really highlighting how SolarWinds messed up, let's share some best practices. And I am the optimistic one today, and Naomi's the pessimistic one today. We're switching roles for today. I know it's not Friday the 13th, but it's March 4th. So
it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, so like first and foremost, like I would never bring on an intern if I didn't have a real purpose for it. It's not just to do busy work. I think Naomi, you said it, like you want to grow this person and see if they're going to be a fit for you later on. So the key thing is like pairing them with someone who could be a mentor right away and really setting expectations of that relationship and what you expect out of them, not just from like a deliverable perspective, but like where you want to see them grow and learn. And like failure is okay. Like you said, you're only going to learn from your failures. It's like, what do you do like next? If you make the same mistake twice, then that's a problem. And really, going back to SolarWinds, I'd be interested to know what changes have they implemented after learning about all of this to prevent something like this from happening again. Because it sounds like what they did was maybe extremely manual and not automated. But going back to it, like you have to have like a contract to a certain extent with that intern and really grow. And I mean, I've had some amazing interns, and you like they have. My old calculus teacher called it the HOTS, the higher order thinking skills. Like you put someone in and you see them just like they pair with someone and they're just like they have this crazy energy and they start delivering, and the mentor is like, man, this individual is amazing, and they start pushing and doing more. It's not about busy work though. It's about really seeing where this person can go. I did have one intern who he'll probably end up watching this. He came in, interned, and he never got his degree because he loved the program he was in so much, and we hired him. He has one or two classes, and you know who you are. And I was trying to push this individual to finish school as well, 10 years after the fact. But yeah, again, it's all about having that relationship and really, having a good deliverable for what they want to do.
Yeah, that's awesome point, Chris, because it all starts, like, unfortunately, it all starts with leadership, and fortunately and unfortunately. And that's one of those things when you bring on an intern, right? You don't want to bring on an intern for busy work. You really want to have a purpose, and you really want to see the intern grow. And I think that's the biggest thing for a lot of people is when I bring on an intern, I have a specific goal for that intern, meaning I know what they're coming with and their knowledge skill is, and I want to know where they're going to be a month down the road, or 2 months down the road, or 3 months down the road, no matter how long the internship is. But typical internship's about 90 days, no more. Do you do the same thing, Ryan?
Yeah, and where I was previously, we did a lot of work with, it's a company called Code Platoon. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it. It basically helps veterans get into IT jobs. It's not so much cybersecurity focused, but they would go through like a 6-month boot camp, and then we would have internships for them with specific goals for them to try to achieve based off what they learned. Yeah, I mean, that's key to it. Like, because otherwise, if you just have a warm body sitting there, like, what's the point? You're not getting any value out of it, as a team or as a company, and they're not really getting much out of it just by doing busy work, kind of like you said.
And I will say we have to do a better job in general getting internship positions available out there. And on a lark, I kind of just did some research. I love the numbers. I looked up how many internships are posted out on LinkedIn, and I think it was something like 1.3%. 1.3% of all the jobs, cybersecurity jobs, I think in the United States, just for that, but 1.3%. And then I just went through some of the internships, requirements, and some of them were unpaid, first of all, not loving that. But I looked at the requirements themselves, and they were pretty high and pretty strict, and I was very surprised. And then I saw the number of applicants for each one, and they were in the hundreds for every single one. So I need to say, like, we need to do a better job in general, like, be brave, hire an intern. They're great. I'm hiring now.
I'm going to stay the optimist for the entire episode today. Wow.
Okay, we'll switch.
Oh, wow. It's all Ryan's fault. But so I'll tell you this. I don't ever post internships on LinkedIn. I always do them through universities I work with. Like, I have relationships with schools in my area or schools where I want to hire people from. So, for example, like Kennesaw State or University of North Georgia. And when I want an intern, I go to their job board. I go to their intern board at the school, and I post it, and I get applicants for it. Like, I've never thought, Naomi, to post it on LinkedIn.
Yeah, mine's not posted publicly either. I will say there is that hidden job network. So you want to know where to go. And if you're in school, you're going to be placed with those connections a lot easier. But I want to say, like, we probably don't know what the number is for those hidden jobs. But if anything is showing us with that 1.3%, it's probably not much higher. So I will say that.
No, I wonder why people would post that, though, on LinkedIn, right? Because how many students do you guys, like, how many college students are actually active on LinkedIn?
Yeah,
probably not that much.
They're probably on like Handshake or the college
right
websites and
like we post
places.
Yeah, we post everything on Handshake. Like, we don't use. Yeah. I've never thought of using like LinkedIn for internships.
The big companies, the ones that have like those big multi-hundred, spend thousands of dollars with LinkedIn, and you automatically have, it's like an automatic post. Those will get posted up there, but I think you're right, James, in that they probably, if you're a smaller shop and you're trying to think of where to get the best bang for your buck when it comes to interns finding you or that college population finding you, you're probably posting on Handshake or one of those other, or the college, the university's website.
I will say one thing. I am doing something here in Georgia locally, and it's with Partnership Gwinnett. So Gwinnett County in Georgia. and Partnership Gwinnett, which is kind of like the economic and workforce development arm of Gwinnett County. We're actually doing an internship program through Partnership Gwinnett for technology and cybersecurity for high school aged kids, because high school aged kids aren't on Handshake, for example, and the rate of kids in Gwinnett County that actually go to college is, I think, around like 60 or 65%. So there's 35% that don't really continue for higher education. So the idea is, if they're not going to higher education, could they come into and do an internship program and really go do a cert or two through some of the scholarship programs that exist, or through some of the org tuition reimbursement and work for the org?
Yeah. No, there's all kinds of great programs when it comes to internships. And the ones that I've seen work really, really well, especially at like most of the ones that I've worked on have been financial services. So they were pretty meaty. They were bigger internships where they're hiring, 60, 70, tons of college students. And the one thing I would say is, if you're hiring an intern, if you have the budget and if you're a smaller shop, try to hire two, because they kind of work together. It's almost like, when you have kids and they're and I'm not saying college students are kids, but when you have them and they kind of work better together and work better off each other, and you can train two people, to do things. So, I would put that out there. But what Ryan described, in terms of having an actual program with some kind of result at the end, is key when you bring in interns. When I was an intern, I remember there was a big project at the end. We had to do a presentation, it was a program, and you ended it on something that the company hopefully was going to use and move forward. And some of the folks that I talked to, some of the leaders that I'm working with now, their intern programs, it's like that person leads that. And then they could potentially, when they come back, if they take the job if they do it in the summer and they take the job the next year in the fall, or they come and they work full time, then they run that project. And it, in some cases, become like huge projects. So interns can do so much. I know Chris wanted to say something. Hey, yeah, Chris, Chris is here. The whole team is here today.
I was going to say, what Naomi mentioned with the requirements between internships and entry-level jobs, those requirements are just crazy. But then I wanted to comment on one of my former employers, and I'll call them out by name because their internship program I thought was one of the best that I've seen. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. They would rotate in a school of interns, probably 10 or 12 of them, and they would rotate between departments within the organization, and they would be treated as full legit employees during their internship, and treated with responsibilities, given projects, and treated like they would a real employee. So by the time that they're done with their 3-month internship for the summer, they've had experience in marketing, in IT, in finance, and working with everyone from VPs, the CEO, on down. And it's just amazing experience to see them go through such a well-defined program and have exposure to different aspects of the organization. So I just wanted to give them credit. It was I think that they would get on 2,000 plus applicants for their program, and they would only choose like 12. So it's really highly sought after, but it's a really well-defined, developed program.
Sounds like it. Can they share how they do that and how they frame their program? I'd love to copy that.
I can put you in touch with somebody too, Naomi, because I used to run internship programs, but it was ages ago. But I work with hired someone, actually recruited someone who does amazing internship programs, and she did it was similar in some of the organizations where I've been, where it's a program to what Chris described, where you have a full, you pretty much have planned out their whole 12 weeks, the kickoff, the end date, everything that's going on in between, the types of projects they're going to work on, group projects, presentations, the whole nine. And at the end, the goal is that most companies, that when they do it well, it's your pool, it's your feeder. It's like, okay, we're going to get these people in next year. we want to hire, if they want to hire 100, they might do, 150 interns or 200 interns and say, okay, we're going to give offers to 120 and anticipate that 100 will accept or something to that effect. So the ones that do it really, really well, like Chris's experience, I know PwC had a phenomenal, like the way they got interns through the door was amazing. And some of the financial services places that I've worked, even Freddie Mac, when I was at Freddie Mac, there was a really, really awesome internship program that a lot of people were still at. All right, Chris had to run. Tons of comments going on in here today. So let's go through some of them. Hugo says it's his first time joining and enjoying the conversations. Looking forward to listening every Thursday. Thanks, Hugo, for being here with us. Sinead says, good afternoon, everybody. Mark says, glad to see Naomi on here today. Loving your posts.
Thanks, Mark.
Then I would think talking about those preventative changes at SolarWinds publicly could help many other organizations dealing with similar breaches in the future.
Yeah.
Wants to know, can we pull on James's The Optimist thread? Why aren't there more internships, training programs, or structured opportunities to move laterally into cybersecurity from other domains already inside a company?
Because that starts with us as CISOs. So I've got two other CISOs on here today. So I might engage both of them now on this specific debate because I love Dutch, and Dutch always brings thought-provoking stuff. So part of it is because CISOs oftentimes don't want to look within the organization to move people over. And that's traditionally been something that I've seen when I've done like roundtables and we talk about something like this. Most people are like, yeah, well, I'm going to go look more at universities or people who have a little bit more of an experience, have some level of experience or another. And predominantly it's we're the reason why these don't take place. One, it's either because we don't have the time or the resources to administer these types of programs internally. Number two, it's corporate culture. Sometimes corporate culture says that don't touch my department, don't approach my people, don't cross-train them. My people are my people and your people are your people. I won't pouch them, don't pouch mine. Now I will stop and let Naomi and Ryan debate.
Who wants to be first?
Oh, I'll say, like, just my personal experience, I was able to move laterally from an application development shop into application security. So I agree with Dutch, what he says. It is quite a lot easier to move laterally. And Renee, you say this all the time, like, just move within your company. You're already there. Just move in, just make connections, make a network, and then ask them for a favor, right? And that's certainly something that's happening now. I have a new person joining my team, and he was in the call center. He raised his hand, told his supervisor, I don't like this anymore. Can I move to IT? And so for the past year or so, he's been working just kind of in small ways, trying to get onto the IT team, and it finally worked. And he's starting in April.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So my entire team was built via poaching. I mean, I think it was unique. Well, I look at it from this perspective. In security, you're exposed to a lot of sensitive information and a lot of sensitive events. So there was a trust thing that I really wanted to ensure the entire company had in the team itself. So I actually got in trouble from some of the other managers. I took rock stars from all their teams and built my team. And that helped them be successful and helped the program really bootstrap and get started right away. But then we continued to use those teams as feeder teams because I think I mentioned on the podcast last time, my dog just came in.
Put him on.
Come here, Bob.
There we go.
Doggy.
That some of the core foundational skills that I was always looking for was network and like low-level network and operating system, as well as development chops. So those were the individuals I would look for. And then it was easier from my perspective to backfill someone for an infrastructure role than it would be for a security role, especially given the time that they had within the organization. So yeah, we had that program essentially. It was more ad hoc, not formal. But yeah, the goal was always to hire from within, and people appreciated that. My dog just wants to lick me.
Bring him on! Yay!
I know. I love the puppy. I mean, Ryan, that's how every single person that I've spoken to who broke into security like 10 years ago and back, I would say probably 99% of them, almost every single person was working somewhere else. They were doing something in IT. They were in network, they were a sysadmin, they were something. And it's like, oh, we need people for the security spot. So, either volunteer or somebody, you, work on the security stuff. That's how almost everyone that has a lot of experience has gotten into security.
Yeah,
the way Ryan did it, the way Naomi did it. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me that now all of a sudden you have all these people, or you have this like apprehension, and I don't say you all leaders out there around bringing in people that are in IT. It just, to me, is a no-brainer. Like, that's how you fill these positions. And Ryan, to your point, you're exactly right. It's easier to backfill network engineers and all that kind of stuff. Those people they're easier to backfill those folks and get those folks into a role versus going out and poaching, either going out externally to find someone that's going to fit in your culture, that's going to know everything about your internal systems. It just...
Well, you need to have a model for lateral movement within an organization. And again, it goes back to organizational culture. So when Ryan did this, when Naomi did this, the culture within the organization, like you said, it was the culture 10 years ago in security. Hey, we need someone to do this project. Who in IT volunteered? I can't tell you how many CISOs I've had on my show when I've said, how'd you get into cybersecurity? To go, well, I wasn't really in cyber. I was in IT. I was in engineering. I was in architecture. They had a security project. They wanted someone to volunteer. I was the guy who raised his hand. And that's now I'm a CISO. And so you're right. But now we've gotten to a point where we look for certs, and the way we're right, like, we can go back to our original discussion that we always have on here, but the idea of like, HR adding all these different requirements for specific roles. And, Naomi had something very interesting that she posted a little while ago. I think it was last week, where she said that most of the time when we post a job rec, we already have one or two people in our heads that we want to kind of fill that role with. And so we're kind of, winking at those people saying, please apply. And we're probably going to hire you for this unless, you really, don't want it or screw up bad. But at the same time, when it comes to lateral movements within a company, you've got to be in an organization that supports growth within and across. And unfortunately, some cultures today don't do that. And I know that's like very difficult to hear, but it's the truth. I've seen it with companies where we'll be vetting a vendor for my company, right? And we'll be on a security, questionnaire call, and they'll have someone from their security team, their engineering team, and their architecture team. And they have a guy in architecture who's like this guy could be a security architect. Like, he's smart and he's just a basic solutions architect for him. I'm like, why isn't this guy in your security team? Like, why isn't he doing this work? And they're like, well, he's just a solutions guy, so we want to keep him on the solution architecture side. And you're like, why? You have a guy here that can, like, think of how much time and money you invest probably every time a CISO like me vets you. And you take this guy out of his job and you take a bunch of other people out of their work to do this. Like, that cost of the business is insane. But no one looks at this. And that's the problem, is it's very narrow-minded thinking. Of don't touch my team, don't poach it. And like Ryan said, like, he got in trouble for poaching superstars.
Yeah. I mean, if you poach too many of them, yeah, you're gonna get in trouble. But hopefully everybody in these organizations are playing nicely somewhat together and realizing you're all there for a common goal, which is to move the company forward, and not concerned about poaching, holding your people back. Because what it will end up happening is then you have a retention issue, because that solutions architect will eventually get a job in security elsewhere, people move. So it's fascinating to me that these cultures, I'm really curious about how these companies that have this cultural, this non-movement culture, how long they keep their employees and how much money they do spend in turnover. Because the easiest way to keep somebody, every time I talk to a security person that's leaving their job or considering leaving their job, the number one and number two thing has to do with growth. And like, it's almost always growth. It's like training programs, making sure I go to conferences, keeping up with the industry, all of that, getting more exposure, making a bigger impact. Like, it's the same 2 or 3 things every single time. So if whoever's in these organizations and you're having this culture of, oh, I'm going to hold on to my person, you can't hold on to somebody. They will eventually leave. So would you rather them leave and move into another position in your company and make your company better, or leave and go to the competitor or whoever else and leave you with a hole? It's just bizarre to me. It doesn't make any sense.
You guys are preaching today. Go ahead, Ryan. I'll add after.
I think the key, like I would have one-on-ones with, my peers, with my team, and really understanding what are your career goals? What motivates you? What is a challenge to you? I had one guy who told me literally, I 100% cannot stand vulnerability management. He like, I hate it with all my heart. And I'm like, well, great. I'll get you out of that, because I know this other guy really wants to start doing it and learning about it. But having those conversations and having those relationships is important. Same thing, I knew this other guy. He reached out to me about joining my team. And I said, well, have you talked to your manager first? Because like, tell him that your ultimate goal is to not continue down the path you're on, but rather you want to pivot to something from security. So like, communication around this is important, and having that culture where you have that open communication is important.
So true. Dutch says, number one.
In here for a minute. I spoke to a guy who was talking about moving from biomedical research. He said, I really want to get into cybersecurity. He said, but I don't have any of the skills and talents to do that. I said, well, I'm wondering how much your whole thought process and way of approaching a problem would be beneficial to that environment. I don't know. But he didn't. It comes back again, and Renee and I have dealt with this for a long time. People who don't know how much they know and don't know how to apply that, and then how to pitch it to somebody else.
Yeah.
So knowing what the amount of guys I see that lead companies who don't know what they do well, it's unconscious competence.
Totally. So I'll echo what Ryan was saying about kind of being poached from another team. You want to be able to put yourself in a position to be poached, first of all. So here's what I recommend. If anyone listening to this is looking to get into cybersecurity and you're hoping to move laterally, this is what you're going to do. You're going to volunteer for the security team. You're going to be a security champion. You're going to ask them, is there any way I can further your agenda within my own team? Is there anything on your priority list that I can take back to my team now and have them focus on? I will be your champion. I will be your advocate. I will be your speaking mouthpiece, whatever you want to call yourself. I call it security champions. And you now act as an extension of the security team. So even though you're not formally on the security team, you are doing the work of a security person, a security analyst, and you're helping further the goals of the security team. And it's like the best way to get, one, FaceTime with the security team, and two, like a little bit of security experience. And so you're also continuing in your current job. So go ahead and go to your security team if you have one, obviously. If you don't have one, you can volunteer to do security operations. Like every business needs someone to do security operations. But you just go to your security team and say, hey, I know you want security to be built in across the organization. How can I improve security culture within my own team? And they will have a bunch of recommendations for you and be like, oh my goodness, where has this person been my entire life? Here are some things that you can do for us right now. Is it a security architecture review that you can help run? Maybe. Do you have security requirements that you can review and bring onto your own team? If you're an engineer, you have projects and you can say, here are the security requirements for infrastructure or for a web app. Yeah, awesome. Bring that back and help translate now the security things within your own team. It's a miracle. So do it.
I probably should have quoted you, Naomi. I gave out that exact advice. I had a conversation with 3 women who are coming out of a security program, an online school. I can't remember the name, but I gave them the exact same advice because they're seasoned professionals. They're already in their roles. It's like, you want to go volunteer, you want to move over, you want to get your experience and build out your own little world of experience. And even if that company does not have a spot for you, that's okay. you are still building the experience that now you can put on your resume because you actually have done something in security. Comments. Someone says, I love reading Naomi's posts. Naomi is the GOAT when it comes to trigger posts.
Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. That algorithm likes words. So I'm like, here are some more words. Algorithm, go ahead.
Oh my God. Mark says, I broke into IT via an internship and I was doing things that have impacted the entire company from my first day. Definitely valuable exposure. So that is awesome.
Yeah, it works.
I'm trying to go up here. Oh, Sinead says, I think we need to have more apprenticeship programs from companies. This is done in Germany and it works great. If Chris was on here, he would, that's all Chris talks about, the apprenticeship programs. Naomi wants to know what's wrong with paid internships.
Oh no, I said unpaid internships. The ones that I found, some of them were unpaid, and you would be so surprised with like the responsibilities were like 15 bullets long, and they're like, by the way, this is unpaid. But you will get credit for your school course or whatever it was. I'm just like, what?
By the way, we're gonna put the entire weight of the company on your shoulders. This isn't just a
intern was not paid.
You're really doing a CISO job, but as an intern, because we don't want to pay a CISO.
Yeah, capitalism.
All right. I created Operation Real World Experience that consists of multiple cohorts. It gives BCA participants hands-on real world experience in real world environments. We have just kicked off the first cohort participants role, which is cyber research analyst. And BCA, I believe, is
Black Cybersecurity Association.
Right.
Black Cybersecurity Association or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there was another comment down here. BCA is Black and Cyber Security Association. The previous post. That sounds awesome. That sounds like a great opportunity for people to get Operation Real World Experience. That's what you need.
Indeed.
Dutch says the crisis in 2000 and then 2008 killed most training and internship programs. We need to make investments now to accelerate our growth upwards in 2021. I agree.
Yeah, the investments don't need to make sense for the business. And unfortunately, when businesses start to cut down workforce, typically the first jobs to go are those.
Yeah, that's the sucky part. M. Rashid says, hi guys, first timer here. Internships seem far reach for recent PhDs and graduate degree holders because they seem to be overqualified for those internships. Any pieces of advice?
If you're a PhD or a graduate, you shouldn't be looking at internships. You should be rather looking at cross-training within the organization you're already with. I mean, if you're doing a PhD or a graduate degree, then you're probably doing it as part of the company. You know, typically you're doing it as part of something to support wherever you're trying to go within your current organization or your career. So, you know, I've never had anyone for a PhD apply for an internship. Have you? Anyone?
No.
Yes, but the masters and the PhDs, but it's for master level and PhD level internships. So depending on if this person is actually like a full-time student that was a full-time undergrad and then went into a master's and PhD program, there are internships for those, but you specifically have to look for, and I would be all over your school's career services to find internships that align to people who are doing research or who are master's and PhD students, because they do have programs that hire you straight out at a different level. They don't expect you to be the undergrad intern.
Right. Like you're not going to be a SOC analyst with a PhD or a graduate degree. You're probably going to be doing some work around the, you know, either GRC or mid-level management. And unfortunately, those internship programs don't really exist. It's more of a those are really unpaid interns. Naomi's going to hate that, but that's really the unpaid intern position. It's
liberal arts degree holders.
It's liberal arts degree holders. Exactly.
I was waiting for that one to show.
We haven't brought up liberal arts degrees today.
46 minutes.
Yeah, I've really tried to be patient today and not bring it up in the first.
Yeah,
10
you're
minutes.
the optimist today.
Yeah, I'm definitely the optimist.
45 minutes in, we couldn't hold back.
45 minutes in, liberal arts degree, the biggest fraud a university can ever sell a student. Don't do it.
PhD.
Don't do it.
Naomi, did you have a comment on that one?
About PhDs or for internships?
Yeah.
Like, so I will say, if I saw someone with a PhD apply for my entry-level jobs, I would seriously question their judgment. Like, I'd feel like, are you that desperate? Like, so obviously you're spraying and praying. You're not focused on my company. I would pass. I would say, this person's either overqualified or not. He doesn't really care about my company. I would rather find someone who really wants to work for us and not really focus on people who are just.
Now, are you being a fair and equal opportunity employer by saying that?
Probably. Is education level one of the things? Is educational level one of the covered things? Like, I don't know what it is. Like, can I be biased against
I'd love to see HR. I'd love to see HR. Look, this guy's got a PhD level. You know, I know you're looking for an analyst, but he meets all those requirements and then some.
Overqualified.
I mean, he could literally be the assistant to the CEO at this point.
People, the leaders, and this is a great conversation, because I see this happen, and you do get overlooked because you have too much experience and you're overqualified. And the rationale is this person is going to be bored, or this person applied and this doesn't make, this person made a mistake and applied to this low level, quote unquote, for their level of experience, not the right fit, lower level role. And they are going to be bored and they're probably going to leave, and, all of those various things. So
I love what it takes to get the PhD. I will say, like, you earn that doctorate. You can call yourself doctor all day. I don't mind. But I think just like, if you lower your sights after that and hope to get an intern level or entry level job using it like that, to me, it feels just, it was.
Okay, I want to get an honorary one of those. I want to get like a PhD degree now, just so that I can make Naomi call me Dr. James.
For sure, I would. I would do it.
Put up Dutch's comment though. Put up Dutch's comment first. I gotta go to war with Dutch here. I said liberal arts degrees, Dutch. I didn't say history. History is actually a good degree. It's part of an understudy because we need historians in order to not repeat history.
That's liberal arts.
No, it's not.
Yes,
History
it is.
Not liberal arts.
I think it is too. It's a Bachelor of Arts in History.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yes.
What else? A Bachelor of Science in History? That's not a thing.
Why not?
Wait. James, you're going to hate my degree. I have a Bachelor of Arts in IT.
What?
What is arts in IT? What is arts in IT? Can someone explain that to me?
I'm
talking about liberal arts. I'm not talking about bachelor in arts. There's liberal arts degrees.
History is a part of a liberal arts degree program. Usually when it's art.
Renee would know. She specializes in this stuff.
Oh, God.
Sciences, baby.
Social sciences.
Well, but Dutch and James you guys were enlisted. Like, that's a whole different thing. Like, if you got a PhD and you were enlisted, I would probably look at your military service and be like, this is the person that I want.
Dutch's Bachelor of Science in History. Bam! In your face. No arts in history.
Wow.
No arts in history. He had to take sciences. I respect you, Dutch.
But I believe all liberal arts people have to take sciences.
I took science.
You get a well-rounded education. That's
a well-rounded education.
Okay. I know nothing.
Oh gosh, this is the joy of my Thursday. All right, let's go back to some more comments here.
Bachelor of Science in History. Wow.
Yeah, because there's science in history. The world is a science thing.
I get it. Yeah, people are weird and people are difficult to understand, but it's already happened. You're not here to further that science. Like, that science is done. Once that history has happened, that is done.
Yeah, but
studying why it happened, maybe, I don't know.
And also studying facts of the science that the technology at the time didn't have, that technology today can actually give you more information on. We're on Mars right now. We're on Mars. We're literally exploring Mars as we speak, with like unbelievable pictures. Like, I don't know if you guys are following some of the pictures that are coming from Mars, awesome. But like, I'm waiting for it to find like Matt Damon, like harvesting potatoes.
Actually, there was a picture of Ryan Pace, the Chicago Bears GM, looking for a quarterback in Mars.
Oh, that's awesome. seeing the whole world doing runs. So Clinton says, great to be with you guys again. I see you guys have grown in size on the panel. See, he already put you in there. He put you in. Great job, guys. Great to have more diversity of thought and experiences.
We're like a UN here, if you guys notice. Like, we have a little bit of everything here. It's amazing.
It's so much
I
fun.
love it.
This is like the funnest podcast.
We're not like the UN. We're nothing like the UN. We actually get stuff done. The UN is just the worst human organization ever made by humans and the biggest waste of money ever.
There's the pessimist that I remember. Thanks.
Yeah, he's
Welcome
coming
back.
back.
The UN.
Couldn't hold it in.
As someone who's actually done work with those assholes, like they are the
Good
most
Lord.
worthless organization on the planet.
He's back.
I said it right now.
Mhm.
He's back. Couldn't hold it in. 49
Well, she
minutes.
said the UN. Like I could have stayed very happy. Like I've been happy for 48 minutes.
I said
Right?
UN. Well, all right,
That
all
is
right.
the
Instead
longest
of
I've
UN,
been an
fine.
optimist on the show. And then she
We
said she had
are.
to say the UN.
We're a clothing commercial. Like, we look very beautifully diverse.
Yes. It's like Benetton back in the day.
Ryan's like, what did I walk into?
James couldn't hold on to his optimistic title.
He lost it.
Ben says, oh, snap.
I'm like John Wick early in the first John Wick movie. Like all I want to do is just love my wife, take care of my dog, and drive my nice car.
Before
And
your dog
then
died.
some Russian assholes got to come into my house and like kill my dog and steal my car. Like you're gonna bring me back.
Dutch says the study of history helps us give context when we encounter Black Swan events and to understand why things happen. Right, Dan?
I agree with Dutch. I predominantly read history books. That is the way I educate myself. I read history and then try to compare what happened in history to what's going on today. So when people tell me things look very oblique today, or they're not very optimistic about, cybersecurity, look at cybersecurity, it's going to change the balance of the world. I'm like, okay,
Yeah, but
let's
you
go
can't
back
apply the scientific method to history. That's the whole point. Like, it's happened.
That's why it's a Bachelor of
can't
Science in
replicate it.
History.
We'll take this offline,
She
James.
took science courses. Like I have a friend, she had a degree in social work, but it was a bachelor's in science because she took science courses, but it's still a social work degree.
Right. But I guarantee if you went to like Starbucks' entire like CV list, it's all like bachelor's in arts.
Oh, come on.
John De La Cruz says, awesome to see and listen to the authenticity. They love the shenanigans on this show.
Renee, don't you think we need to help James to learn to speak up?
Yeah, he seems to have a problem with that.
I'm very oppressed.
Oh Lord. Okay. Naomi, I think Naomi wants to know, so are you guys saying that people that are coming from non-technical backgrounds should not seek internships? No. We are not saying that. I think Naomi was explaining the easiest way to transition within your current company. So not actually going outside and looking for internships, but looking to transition while you are within. Is that correct?
Yes. The easiest way, I think, of getting switching into cyber or IT is to make a lateral move. Happens all the time.
Exactly. Clinton made a good point here about the PhD student. Depending on what area you do your PhD in, it would be worth looking at companies that are doing work in your area of study and break into cybersecurity that way, or demonstrate how your PhD can add value to the company and that of their cybersecurity strategy. It's a good point.
I don't know. I still feel, a PhD for what we do. It's like too academic. Like
only
it's
PhD.
not practical.
Yeah, it's so some of the larger organizations have, when they are looking for PhDs for certain types of work that they want to hire on after the person gets their doctorate, will bring them in as an intern. Same with the MBA programs. If you think about some of those real top 25 MBA programs, you get an internship in between, but you're being brought in as a leader. You're in one of those leadership development programs. You're automatically brought in with the MBA and some work experience, and you're coming in. It's an internship, but it's not like, the basic fresh out of undergrad, junior going to senior, that internship. It's a different level of an internship.
Yeah, I hear you. I think PhDs, we still need them in cybersecurity, but more for like discovering new fields, like using quantum computing for cybersecurity. Yeah. Like we're going to need the smart and the IQ. But for practitioners, like for sure, a PhD is too academic and not practical at all.
So kind of. I mean, if you look at NIST is predominantly very PhD, very educational, and that kind of helps in kind of cultivating different frameworks and different opportunities, like for cyber. But it just depends on what the PhD is on, right? So like Dutch brings up a point here where like a PhD in organizational and industrial psychology and a hot minute.
I know people with that.
Right.
That is a thing.
But that would be very helpful to have someone like that. I mean, if you look at some of the bigger CISOs, like the CISOs in like the Fortune 50, where some of the organizations are establishing the office of the global CISO. So if you just look at that build, so some of the roles that are built in there is kind of those PhD roles within the office of the CISO, whether it be organizational or training or apprenticeship programs. They're kind of bringing in those academic points of view into the office of the global CISO. And keep your eye out for this, because I think that's going to be the trend of 2021. By the way, I was on a call a few weeks ago, and that was a really big thing from a lot of. I was on a call with an association of board members. So these are like Fortune 100 board members, and I was on a panel, and one of the questions that a lot of them asked was, should the CISO actually get their own office and not be part of IT? Meaning, should we elevate the role of the CISO? And that's now being discussed in boards by some very, very smart people. And I think that we're going to start to see that more. Look at financial services companies. That's already happened. So at JP Morgan Chase, Jason's already opening the office of the global CISO. We're seeing that at Citi as well. They have the office of the global CISO. Large manufacturing companies like the multinationals are now creating the office of the global CISO. And then the entire cybersecurity business across the entire country is under them. And that applies to our org as well. Like in my org, that's essentially what we did.
Yeah. I think that we'll start to see the evolution of this. And Dutch brought it up when he was on, that security is still growing. We're still kind of getting to the part where we're, getting more mature. And I think you'll start to see that, especially when the Fortune 100 does it, then, it trickles down and other folks kind of follow suit. So we are almost at 2:00 Eastern time. There's tons of comments in here. So if I'm feeling like we should bring this topic up again, there's a really, really good one, lively discussion. What do we want to wrap with?
I want to ask if James is the optimist again.
I am.
Good.
I am. Listen, I'll tell you, I'm an optimist because I'm starting to see meaningful conversations being done by meaningful decision makers around some of the historically challenging issues within cybersecurity. And I think these conversations are going to be game changers for a lot of us. Even if it's not direct, indirectly, it'll impact people's development across different business units. You're seeing that with a lot of multinationals, but it's going to increase more and more. And watch one thing I'm telling you, because I've been getting a lot of engagements on this. Look at VC companies now starting to bring an resident CISO, not to sell security companies, but to guide their startups and give their startup security strategy at that role. That's going to be very interesting roles coming.
And they have a network of other startups that they work with, and we all partner together. We have a network of CISOs within our own little family. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes total sense. Ben says this has been a great discussion yet again, and Dutch says fire topic, singing like the jingle Hot Pocket. Keep talking about this topic. Lots to share.
Let's bring Dutch on.
Yeah, Dutch, you got to come back. He's available. So
yeah, he's on the show.
He and I talked about this. All right, folks. Thanks again for joining us. Lively discussion. Always awesome. Wonderful seeing everybody here. Join us again. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you come back and see us again at 1 p.m. Thursday Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific on another CISO Thursdays Breaking Into Cybersecurity. Bye, everybody.
Bye.